use it. Get your own box. And catch Spider-Man 2 in theaters June 30th.
It's that look. It's that look right there. That look like test me, mother. Yeah.
And then there's a little old lady.
Knives for sale.
Boy, do I have a surprise for you.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to Talk Car Tuesday. Wouldn't be complete without it. Hopefully everybody out there is doing well. It's going to be a fun one. 20 years later, we can talk about Spider-Man 2. That's right. I can't believe it's been 20 years. I felt made me feel old today, but with me as always, he's great co-host. How you doing, Stone Cold Loki? How you feeling, bro?
I'm here. We're gonna kick some ass. And Spider-Man and two versions of the movie. And what version do I watch? And what version are we going to talk about? And does 2.1 really exist? And I'm confused now. I'm going to go.
Well, we will let you drive around with that one a little bit. I actually don't know that I even acknowledge 2.1, so we'll see. I don't know. It just is what it is, so we'll see. It'll be fun to talk about. So
Raimi didn't. So I mean, Raimi
yeah, I
was
don't.
like my cut's the one that you saw in theaters.
Yeah, that's what he said too. I just washed my hands of it, and at this point, Sony had burned him so bad. I don't blame him at all. So, Ironcaster, my friend, how are things for you?
It has been a long day. I am tired, but I am ready to, get back into the swing of things here and talk about some Spider-Man.
Yeah, man. It's always good. Our special guest tonight is the Thad that shouldn't be, the unbearable 73. That's right, Matt himself. How you doing, brother?
How y'all doing? I'm doing kind of okay myself. So, toughing through the awesome New Jersey springs where the wind is cold as ice and the sun is warm as summer.
All right. Well, we're happy to have you with us talking about a movie like this. I know you know all things that I don't know, so I'm happy to have you be able to be in here. And I appreciate the late notice invite, being able to do it. It's really awesome of you, man. Thank you so much. So,
no problem.
With that, let's say hello to this wonderful chat. They've been loading up here, going crazy in there. Remember that 7-year period where Kirsten Dunst was hot as AF? Yeah, that turned fast. Well, anyway, please like, share, subscribe.
I hate saying this, but Kirsten Dunst was not hot enough to play Mary Jane.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That can be one. I'm glad I'm not the only one with the hot take. So if there's any complaint at the time, I always felt Tobey felt old and Kirsten was not hot enough, but that's the OG Spider-Man loving me. However, in hindsight, with all the other Spider-Man and all the other casting,
No, she's amazingly beautiful. I'm not taking anything away from her.
Yeah.
But
Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah. There he is, the wrench of wrenches, the man from the Great White North, holding down things. Hail to the triumvirate, Pops, Loki, Ironcaster, and hail to the unbearable side. Squeaka is not with us. We have not heard back from Squeaka yet, so there's stuff going on. It's life. It's just life. Things are there. So, but yeah, this guy's there. Here, he's saying hail to everybody. And look at Dempsey throwing down 7-month membership. Everyone gets one, said Spider-Man. Yes, good stuff. Thank you, Dempsey, for all your support and being a friend. It's awesome, man. Awesome. Great to have you with us, Sam. Cool. There he is, Cannoli, brother. Hope you're doing well. Yes, there's the swing of things, Spider-Man. I caught that, Ironcaster. Yeah, we get you. Yeah, see what they did there.
So that
was an Iowa 8. Okay, Loki, is she an Iowa 8?
Maybe an 8.5.
She's an Iowa 10. She's probably an 8.5. Yeah.
That back there could have been the vinyl for this movie. I'm just saying that it's Godzilla. Godzilla from this morning, but they had two. We had gone to a thrift mall, and they had two. They had Spider-Man 1, and they had Spider-Man 2. And I said, "How much do you want for both?" And he said, "Open them." And my heart sank. And I was like, "Oh no!" And I opened it, and they were broken in half. And I said, "What happened?" He goes, "I just got a box, and there's a bunch of records in it. I bought the box, and when I got to that one, they were broken, and they were colored vinyl, and it was from the year they released." And I was just like, just wow, that's just sad. That's so sad. Somebody, I mean, they were broke. It wasn't like, oh, there's a little chip. No, they were busted,
Snapped in half.
There might have been like, well, especially back in the day, when you used to go, like if you worked in a DVD store or a video game store, when the product was out of time and had to be taken off the shelf, they basically just threw them away. So people started dumpster diving to recover that stuff and making serious bank off of that. So what the store started to do is like breaking the discs
They
or
would
ripping the
damage
books
things.
up, or
Yeah.
you just so you couldn't get any value out of it. You know,
I just figured jealous girlfriend, pissed off. You know,
Could have been.
something.
Could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Whoa!
Yeah, my first run-in with that was people ripping the covers off comics. They throw them away. And it was like, oh my god, I couldn't. It was just that was the retail thing. That's what they did. They treat them just like they did with magazines. They rip the
Yeah.
covers off, and you're just watching. It's just yeah. So yeah, let's talk about Spider-Man. Ironcaster, you're the youngest among us. When would you have seen this film?
Oh, I saw this in. Yeah, I got it. I saw this in theaters. Like,
Okay.
coming, full bore off of the first one.
Okay.
That was that was when I really remembered, because that first one always sticks out for me as something I saw like at the drive-in. My dad was in town. He had gone and filled and inflated up like an air mattress, so we got that set up in the back of his truck. We're all sprawled out watching that one. And I'll be honest, I really don't I know I saw this in theaters. I just don't remember the experience.
Okay.
How little? I mean, you had to be like tiny Iron.
Were you pocket sized? Like little, like
size.
literally, he was like lowercase icy, like
He was-
lowercase icy.
he was chibi Ironcaster.
Look, I would have been about 13, 14.
Are you really that old? Wait a minute. Let's do the math here. 20 years. Oh, okay. Yeah. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah. I guess he's in his
You're in
30s.
your 30s.
Yeah. He's in his 30s.
Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't look that old. I know.
His beard only would have been half an inch long at that time.
God,
It
dude,
was
I
just
figured,
like
mid-20s.
this long. It was just icy. Didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. He doesn't seem like he's 30s, ladies. Sorry. Yeah.
He's young and get him while he's,
Yeah. You still got some time. You got some time. So, we're a bit older. So, Matt, for you, my friend, we're the old ones in this group. How are you feeling when you were going into seeing Spider-Man in 2002, and then of course following up with the sequel? Because I have to admit, it was the casting of Alfred Molina that got me like really excited. Like I was excited to see a sequel, but it was him being in this was what? Okay, now they're for real.
Well, I am and was a Sam Raimi shill because Evil Dead 1 and 2, Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., and Bruce Campbell, anything related to them was my whole thing. So when he got Spider-Man 1, right, I was thinking he could do this really well because it's a comic book movie and he knows how to make the absurd real. If you remember the Evil Dead movies, where you could imagine, even though obviously it's a totally fictional setting, you could imagine a real person like Ash's reaction, especially in the second movie, is very realistic in terms of how you couldn't believe what was going on. You know what I mean? And excuse me. And so when I get to Spider-Man 1 and he does so well with it, I was like, okay, we got something here, Even though obviously, I mean, I could nitpick these films apart a lot, right? I'm not going to go, but I enjoyed Spider-Man 1 more than I thought I would. So Spider-Man 2 comes out and I'm like, okay, Doc Ock, because I mean, one disappointing thing about Spider-Man 1 was kind of the Green Goblin a little bit. Not there were some aspects of it.
You didn't like Green Goblin?
Some aspects of it just like It's hard to because it's been so long since I've seen it, so I'd have to. I just remember thinking they could have. There was some storyline aspects of the Green Goblin that could have been a little better. That's all I remember thinking.
I thought Goblin made the first movie. I mean,
No,
I thought
I'm not
he was
saying.
William Dafoe. I'm something of a scientist myself.
Well, I think the actor, like William Dafoe, is a great actor, and maybe he made up for something with the story. I don't remember what it was. Something with the storyline involving the Goblin. It just didn't feel. It felt like they were making too much of an excuse for him to be crazy. You know what I mean? In the comic book, he's not really that crazy at the beginning. If you
well,
read way back,
yes, that's true.
And then this, just to get to this one, so I'll go into it. I remember enjoying it a lot, despite some flaws. The one big flaw to me, can we talk about the film yet, or do I wait for then? Because this Spider-Man No More, right?
Yeah, just save that a little bit for us if you could. Then we'll just kind of just higher level type thoughts, and then we'll kind of dive a little deeper as we go.
This movie is a reason you need shared universes with comic books, right? Because it's strongly based on Spider-Man No More, and that's where the Kingpin was introduced. For those who don't know, the Kingpin is actually a Spider-Man villain that spilled over into other comics, right? So this would have been a perfect movie to introduce the Kingpin. And, he's such an awesome villain when done right, which I'm not sure if we've ever really had the actual comic book Kingpin done yet,
They did the Daredevil kind of thing, but it was kind of, was it him? Was it?
I would say he's not, because he's not. He's crazy, and the Kingpin's not crazy.
So the only thing I push back on there is I don't think Sony would have had the rights to do Kingpin.
I agree. That's why.
Correct. So they wouldn't have had the rights for that. So that's one of the reasons there was not going to be an option for them. But I don't disagree. There could have been done more. I want to just touch on briefly that I don't totally disagree about Green Goblin, but I will say my bigger issue is that they kill him off. Like, it's just this death thing. Like, we constantly do this death thing. However, other than it took a little too long, I wish Harry had become the Goblin a little faster. I enjoy the fact that there at least was a progression, and they at least had that, because that does align with the Goblin story arc.
We're gonna get into 3 at all.
I'm
probably not. That whole thing where they're like, did anybody ever see the old Saturday Night Lives with the two ambiguously dudes?
Yeah, ambiguously duo.
That ending with him and, all right, buddy, let's go. All right, buddy. I can't do 3. I can't do 3 with Peter.
Emo Peter.
No.
I can't do Topher Grace. I just can't do Topher Grace. I just feel like I'm being punked. It's so much worse than I imagined it to be. So let's turn our attention real quick to chat, because I want to say hey to DJ Ronnie G. Thanks for being with us again. Thanks for your support, my friend. You're absolutely awesome, man. Awesome. Going back to young bearded IRONCASTER is Chibi Caster. Yes, it's true. Back in the bookstore days, mass market paperbacks had their back covers torn off the customer first to credit. It cost too much to ship them back. I still to this day have never understood this concept. It's so frustrating. But yes, you're right. That's what happened.
Well, my comic book shop got a whole bunch of they got a wrong order, right? My Space Cadets, where I'd love to go, and she put the books out for like nothing because they sent her actual books. They sent her Alien 3 like script books, and she was like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this?" And they were like, "Just keep them." And she said, "What am I gonna do? I can either throw them away or I can put them out for like $2.99 and hope people buy them."
Yep.
Shit, I bought 2 of them, one for me and one for a friend, just because they're $2.99 books, and it's just a novelization of the original script for Alien 3, which isn't bad.
Well,
by the way, it's not
before Marvel bought Diamond, which was what, the 1990s pops? Was that when they did it? Usually the comics followed the same rule that magazines had, where anything you didn't sell in your store, your newsstand, your comic shop, they had to take back from you and reimburse you for the raw material costs. And then they would take them, and then Diamond would ship it back to the original publisher, who then presumably could either destroy it or landfill or sell it again or whatever,
Oh, it ended up in the New York dumpsters, because we've heard stories about them pulling original art and comics out of the dumpsters in New York. So yes, we know that's where it ended up. So let me also say thanks to Cannoli for becoming a member. Thank you, brother. Awesome to have you as a member and a friend, my friend. You're absolutely awesome, man. We've had a fun time talking today. So Rusty on the comic book lore Spider-Man, isn't he supposed to be Hobgoblin? Well, see, that's the thing, Dempsey. They just didn't know how to progress him to Hobgoblin, so they just kind of left it as just Green Goblin 2, and it was just easier to do that way. I totally get you. But yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And to be honest, the Goblin long story history with stuff like that. So it's just wide open with that. So
Yeah,
and he was up against the studio, probably calling some of the shots on action figures and what they wanted to do as well. So Phil TMT's here. Hey brother, great to see you. Haven't seen you in a minute, so good to see you, man. Awesome. Look, I know you wanted to chime in a little bit about the take there on Spidey and the Goblin and all that kind of stuff. So I'll let you kind of like finish up your thoughts on this. Yeah.
Defoe was great. The actor, he did an absolutely excellent job. They've got 2 hours to do this and weave this plot and give you this villain. I understand that in the comics, he doesn't go crazy right away, but they've got 2 hours to do that. They did it. They did good. I felt like the first movie was more to the point, and the second movie had more bloat. Spider-Man 2, to me, is a little more bloated than that first movie. And I think that's because of how quick they get to that, how quick they give you the villains. And it may have been, maybe it's because they strung out the opening just a little bit, but I mean, perfect casting all the way around. That's one thing you cannot in any way, shape, or form argue, is that they had, I mean, from JJ to Doc Ock to Green Goblin to Peter, but Peter looked like he should look. So he was really goofy, he's really dorky, Peter looked the way he should look. And that was something that they needed to do. They didn't need someone, they didn't need Chris Evans, Captain America, trying to be Peter Parker. They needed a geeky dude. And thank God Tobey's a geeky dude. You can say what you want about MJ, but I mean, everything Ironcaster's putting up here is just genuine. It's just
let Ironcaster jump in real quick here about it, because this is your era of Spider-Man too, man. This is like your Nexus era, 13 years old, man. This is prime time for you, man.
I mean, it wasn't until a few years later, until like I want to say 07, 08, before I finally started going to the shop and picking books up on the regular. But the reason I was kind of stopping on these was I just wanted to show off and really admire like the work of Alex Ross. Like, and I think this is one of the best opening sequences because it is just so many elements of the first movie, kind of like sprinkling those little touches of like, here's this amazing cast of characters we had in the last movie with some of these super iconic, memorable moments that you're looking at. You're like, oh yeah, that's great. And like, I love him as J. Jonah Jameson. And how can you forget that iconic upside down kiss?
And with Raimi there, how many have expected you to hear like him say, "Give me some sugar, baby," and just grab her and give me some sugar, baby.
So as it progresses quickly, I would I want to get back to what Loki said about bloat. I didn't hate the opening in this. As I rewatched it, I've rewatched it twice in the last 3 or 4 days, and I think I felt like my perfect Spider-Man opening would always be like a montage of him capturing some of the supervillains and then having the newspapers like spin on screen, and you would have these different kinds of things as the credits played. So the fact that they weren't going to try to expand the universe that fast and they wanted to go something quick, it's like, all right, we're going to have him do some neighborhood Spider-Man stuff. And the pizza gag I thought works pretty well. I didn't care for like the mop gag. Like he comes in like the storage room and there's like the mops falling down on him. I was like, I forgot about that part. But other than that, I actually like the opening. Of course, like you said, the Alex Ross credits are amazing. But it's really more like just how to set this up and get into Spider-Man's world a little bit. What did you think, Matt?
Well, just building off of what we were talking about, the age of the character, this is obviously college age Peter, which is why I was okay with Tobey playing him, even though he looked maybe a little older than college age per se. But So there was no like gawky, like remember Spider-Man in the comic when he started was like what 14 or 15, so he was really like a gawky teenager type of a character, right? So when we get into this here, he's kind of established himself. We like from the first movie, we know the nature of how he's going to play Spider-Man. We know how they're going to do the visuals, and this plants you right into the storyline of Peter's life, which is the big thing about Spider-Man is the problems he has balancing, at least early on, Peter's life with the Spider-Man life, and which plays up fairly well in this movie. Although there's one criticism I have for it, we'll get to later when it happens. But they almost but don't quite overdo him angsting over being Peter, but they solve the problem the right way with a proper talk from Aunt May and things like that. So the opening to me was kind of right on tone,
I think Loki. I wanted your thoughts. I think that what Matt said is absolutely right. That any problems that they do create, it's solved by the fact that they truly make me feel like they're fans of Spider-Man and Peter because they get Peter's problem. They're not trying to make Peter something that he's not. They try to make him the kid that's trying to figure it out. College, pay rent, take care of everybody, let people know my secret identity. Like all of the true stuff that we love about all this, it feels like they got and kept that, and we just don't get that anymore.
This is tame compared to the shit he went through in the comic book.
Well,
so this is like this whole thing is compared to everything he was juggling and going through in the comics. If you go back to the era you're looking at, I mean, it was Spider, the man Spider, the stuff with the vampire guy. What's the vampire guy?
Morbius.
Yeah. Thank you. All the stuff. I mean, hell, just watch the old cartoon. Watch the '90s Fox cartoon for 2 hours, and there's more bad crap happening to that Peter than the Peter in this movie. But it's believable. It's all believable. So instead of having this like one problem after another problem after another problem after another problem, this is all based in like this could really be going on, and it's believable.
It's a more muted kind of storytelling to it, where we're just getting down to these basic elements of the character. Peter's this guy who's always hustling. He's always, being pulled in so many ways. There's all this responsibility that he feels he's got to put onto his shoulders that he dare not put onto others. Aunt May is struggling to pay the bills. She's got the mortgage notice. And here's Aunt May turn around and giving him this $20 bill for his birthday when he knows she's struggling. When the first thing she says when she wakes up is Ben, and that every one of these elements just brings back all that guilt, all that weight that's on Peter's shoulders. This is such a refreshing take to kind of come back to and revisit, seeing this is who the character is.
Matt, I want to get to you just 1 second. I'm glad you have this up, Ironcast. I want to get to Phil's comments. Mary Jane in this movie looks younger than she did at the ending of the first film. That's a very interesting take. I'd have to watch those a little closer together to kind of get that. I didn't do that. So
just think about her in the Chinese dress when they're at that parade deal in the first movie. She looks banging in that dress, and then she looks just kind of like a homely teenager.
Phil also says that she thinks he's toxic to Peter. I disagree. I think that the toxicity gets justified with the way she's like, "You're going to let me down again," and then of course he's late because he's trying to save some people, and he has that really pathetic phone message. You sort of kind of get the beat down woman who's always being disappointed, always being stood up, and all that kind of stuff, and then she's just kind of quietly moved on. And of course, it also is done very subtly where they don't have to have a speech about it. Raimi is setting up with all the posters, and he's walking down the street with all those posters. She's like a rock star celebrity right now in her life. She can get any guy she wants. So that's why she ends up with the Jameson son. So I thought all of this was actually done very well. I don't know, Matt, you came in with a little bit of hate towards Kirsten Dunst. What do you think?
No. She's an amazingly beautiful woman and a really good actress, but she's not It's like Mary Jane is supposed to be like young Elizabeth Taylor or Raquel Welch, right? She's supposed to be that level of beauty, like statuesque, iconic type of, and I don't mean that from the sort of like, leering sort of way. She's portrayed as a character who is like statuesque in a sense. Like I said, if you're old enough
Peggy
to
Bundy. Peggy Bundy, if anybody remembers Peggy.
no, I don't mean like I wouldn't say what's Peggy Bundy's real name? Katie Seagal.
Yeah, Katie Seagal.
I mentioned young Elizabeth Taylor for a reason, or for people who go look at her on Cleopatra, So that being said, another thing to point out, like this movie came out in 2004. Amazing Spider-Man, I think JMS was about to start his run. Amazing Spider-Man, Peter David started his run. Spectacular, two of the best comic runs at the beginning of all time, to my opinion. And then Civil War was heating up. I'm about to be heating up, precursors all building towards it. And Civil War basically ruined Spider-Man's character, right? So with the whole Brand New Day, One More Day garbage in 2007, when the third movie came out. So we have a peak Spider-Man movie at a time when Spider-Man was being done really well in the comics. And you mentioned Spider-Man 3 later, a very subpar Spider-Man movie when Spider-Man was being undercut in the comics. It's kind of ironic how well they framed what was going on with the release of the movies, So,
and I think that this is why early on I made my pitch, and I think you'd probably agree with my take, Loki, is that my ideal plan on this would have been to speed up Peter's timeline a little bit to get him into college, maybe have him have faced off against several supervillains, so you have more chaos. Like you've seen all these little, quick little montage of him capturing Rhino or capturing Mysterio, whatever. These newspapers coming out where he's always the headline as a villain, but you have he has enduring so much chaos all the time. Yes, he's standing everybody up, he's frustrating everyone, whatever. I think that's the only thing I would have liked a little bit more, but I always want that. I just never get it. But among Spider-Man films, this is probably among my two favorite ones. I'm having a hard time with this, but it's among my favorites. I really do enjoy this movie. So let's say hello to Penny, though. Hey, Penny. She's made a horrible movie choice. I reviewed it, so you didn't have to.
Kirsten Dunst, and one with Kirsten Dunst in it.
I reviewed it, Penny, so you didn't have to, because this is good Kirsten Dunst, not resting witch face Kirsten Dunst, which is what you saw today. Sorry about that.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I think this is one of those quote unquote controversial opinions with this movie. How do you feel about Ursula?
Ursula is like the sweet nerdy girl next door. I love Ursula.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's exactly what Peter's universe is full of. There's also the secretary at the Bugle. That's always kind of like
Betty
she's
Brant.
flirting with him too. Like he doesn't get that he's cute. He doesn't get that he's handsome. And they don't play up enough of Tobey Maguire's build. This is why Mary Jane makes sense in the comic book, is because his build, he's so muscular. He hides it because he's a nerd, but because of his radioactive blood, he is completely ripped and super strong or whatever. So there are scenes where she just can't keep her can't keep her hands off of him. And I love all that element of their relationship because it just makes sense. It gets them through some of the difficult times. And the fact that all these other girls would be attracted to him, it fits the universe well. This is what I think Raimi gets well. It's what you were saying about earlier, Loki. It's like they get the universe enough. It's not quite maybe what you were saying with the comic book stuff, but you feel like it could work.
Oh yeah, because there are things that off. It's like the webbing. That's not this Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man 2099. But he took that and he used it, and they rolled with that.
In the comics, the time he had the organic webbing, it was in the arc with the Spider Demon Queen where she kidnapped him, and Spider-Man got two enhancements to his power set. He got this arc with the Spider Demon Queen where he got the organic webbing and his strength was like doubled. And then there was another one later on with the other Spider-Man, where he got another boost after that.
Yeah,
so at the time in the comic,
Raimi said that he got it from 2099.
He might have, but I'm saying in regular Spider-Man had it at the time too.
So yeah, it was one of those like, well, we don't even have to go into the cartridges or how he makes his stuff or how he comes up with that. It's just organic. Problem solved.
That's one of the negatives for this film that I like. They had to come up with a reason on why the webbing and stuff aren't working, why he's having power issues, because they've made him organic. I didn't. That's actually probably the negative for me, is that piece of the story arc. They kind of have to manufacture an emotional reason that he's kind of
psychosomatic. I mean, he's literally. It's like he can't perform. He's so stressed out, and he's so at such a level of exhaustion that he can't do it. He can't get his webbing up, ladies and gentlemen.
Can't get the webbing up.
I will say, I think one of the most unrealistic parts of the movie that I feel is, just the immediately jump to Harry Osborn as sort of like, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but isn't he supposed to be like the new head of Oscorp?
Yes.
Like he just steps in and takes over. For him to come in, for the son to come in and just take, fresh in college, to step in and take over like this, publicly traded company. That's about the most unrealistic part of the movie. And this is a movie with a guy making a miniature sun.
I don't think that they claim it's a publicly traded company, do they? I think Oscorp just does what Oscorp wants to do, even in the comic book. So I think that this actually didn't lend itself bad for me in that regard. Like, this is the nepotism young son who can live in his dad's shadow. I thought they actually played this well for that reason. I see what you're saying. If they made a comment about the board or shareholders, I don't think that's
remember,
his dad took out the entire board.
Yeah,
he killed them all. Right.
The board had to all band together to get him out. That's how much stock he had in Oscorp, because basically it's his company.
To get into
so he had to take all of them out to stop that from happening. That's the only reason why Harry's in the position he's in, is because he's the one left with all the stock. Everybody else is dead.
Oh, that is true, I suppose. Fair enough.
What were you going to say, Matt? I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, just from the sort of legalistic of it, like the board could oust him as CEO, but they can't oust his ownership of the majority of the company. The way that's the legal structure usually works. So with them all being dead, now the remaining stockholder would appoint the replacement board, and therefore, which would be Harry, and since he's not alive, and therefore he would have complete control of the company.
You guys know gaming way more than me. I guess he's referring to MJ. Looks like a dude.
Don't get me started on Pops. Don't get me started on Spider-Man 1 and 2 on PS5.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know for sure. Okay.
Yeah, she's very dudeish and guyish and man jaw.
That's what the MJ stands for.
And a total bitch.
Yeah, resting witch
Pardon
face.
my language.
Boosh, boosh. Yes, brother.
And this movie gets Doc Ock and Otto Octavius almost 100% perfect. Like he was a bit crazy before even the accidents happened. You know what I mean? He was.
Genius usually has there's like, it's like Einstein. Einstein was an absolute slob. He never picked up after himself. They had to make him shower. He had these weird intricities because he was a genius. So that there needs to be a little kind of madness with the genius. Always a little madness with the genius.
But in particular, in Doc Ock, they get him like comic book accurate as well, and even to the depiction as the movie goes on. You know what I mean? Like, I think the actor probably did some research on his own. I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't ever read about it. I wouldn't be surprised if
he's a big comic book fan, so he was totally thrilled to get an opportunity to do this. So I could see that he would immerse himself in that a little bit. And Phil, this is why you're allowed to be friends, because yes, that's the right take. We'll keep you in the club. You're not allowed. So we're good. You're good. You're good. So this is, I think Dempsey's talking about the neighbor Ursula. Okay. Yeah. Did you like our Ironcaster?
It's funny because there was this little trend for a while there where people were saying that like Ursula was a better woman for Peter than Mary Jane. Like, I remember it was one of those little conversations that kind of popped up every out of like an anniversary show of the film. Makes
him a cake, takes care of him, does all this stuff, and then MJ's a total bitch.
Helps him, basically kind of helps him sneak around with like her father. Like, I have ears like a rat and eyes like a cat.
Yeah, the actress who played Ursula, she's like a background actor in a lot of stuff. You see always in playing like one episode here, one episode there, or you know what I mean. Like, she's always those type of roles. It's probably her biggest role.
So I really do like this portrayal here with the two of them here together, where it's someone who's able to talk with Peter on that scientist level, and he's able to kind of nerd out with them. And then they sit down, they have their tea, they have their little snack with Doc Ock and his wife, and he's now giving him this very fatherly advice. It's the sort of thing that Peter was kind of hearing a bit of from Harry, kind of telling where Harry's telling him, the girl's not gonna be waiting for you forever. And here's Octavius saying how he was very much like Peter, and the perfect woman was right there waiting for it, right there before his eyes, and he had to reach out and kind of go for her. He's going on about how I never did understand T.S. Eliot. I just never got what he was talking about. Theoretical physics. Now that makes perfect sense, but T.S. Eliot, no.
And another interesting thing with Doc Ock's home there, the contrast between the modern tech and the classic architecture really is well done set.
I totally agree. Just Molina just carries it so well in, like what you were saying, Ironcaster, this sort of fatherly advice, but also just not like weird or intrusive. It just everything feels so normal and natural and things like that. I really enjoyed it a lot. And this was written Alvin Sargent. Now, well, he does work on the third movie, but and a later Spider-Man movie as well. But in this one, I felt like he just did a really good job of balancing some of that. He just did a really good job of bringing in some of the right advice for Peter. And it just really makes sense and elevates the story a lot whenever things start to go sideways. Let me say to Phil.
Quick.
Oh, go ahead. Let's just dismiss Phil real quick. Don't hold your breath. We're not doing Spider-Man 3. I don't care how much petitioning Ironcaster does. We're not doing Spider-Man 3. I'm at the point now where I can't erase Spider-Man 3. But I want to. I just can't.
I will say
it's like a scar on my cerebral cortex.
I will say Spider-Man 3 is better than more than half the Marvel MCU movies.
Well, so considering how many there are now, yes, I guess half probably would be a fair assessment. But it would be. It's in that lower tier.
If we were Thanos snapping half of all comic book movies out of existence, Spider-Man 3 would not be in the half that would be Thanos snapped out of existence now, thanks to all the Marvel MCU track.
Really? You would like? I mean,
well, because there's so many now, Loki. I'm not sure I can disagree with them because it's like there's so many.
OG Punisher. I mean, Dolph Lundgren. Punisher.
I love that movie. You kidding me? I love Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Spider-Man 3 again. I'd watch the last Punisher before I'd watch Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, so I think that's what Matt's saying, though. I think he would still put this where Spider-Man 3 would survive because there's so many Captain Marvels and other movies that just saturated the market as well.
That many?
People, because we're used to ignoring them now. Like we ignored Eternals, we ignored the Marvels, we ignored Doctor Strange 2. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to come up with like a massive list and see where it would land. I'm with Loki. I can't think of anything that's going to make me want to watch Spider-Man 3. But again, the movies that we're talking about, I'm totally in line with that. I have no problem watching Thomas Jane Punisher before I would watch Spider-Man 3. I mean, I'm good with that too. So I liked Octavius more than Doc Ock. Actually, this casting was near perfect. I'm good with both. I think it transitions well, and I think that there's the way that final act that he goes in and out of Octavius and Doc Ock. It's perfect. I think it just does it really well. We'll get more into it as we go. If there's any weirdness, it is sort of like the little scooter stuff. But I love the fact that this is actually his stunt. You guys heard the story about the stunt? They actually have a stunt man do this stunt, but Tobey's was better, so they kept Tobey's. So I love that.
So if you look at that shot, this is a Raimi-ism where it's like a forced perspective where he seems bigger than the background. If you watch all the Raimi stuff, like the Evil Dead films, he constantly does that sort of shot where the character looks like he's too big to be in the background, so to highlight what the character's going through. You know what I mean?
Yep. Forced perspective. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that. Gladly admit Spider-Man 2 is the best. Original Spider-Man, but Spider-Man 3 is my favorite. Silly man. Emo dance. See, that's just that's a Philism.
There's the man.
So I get that. So there he is. There's the goat. A moment of pause for Bruce. We just got to hail to Bruce. And by the way, talk about forced perspective. They made Bruce look like he's like 6'9". It's just the way he's towering over to. I mean, they purposely do it so he's just like this ginormous, menacing figure, which is it's great. I loved it.
the biggest mistake is that we will never see him as Mysterio.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's the same character in each movie. So he named Spider-Man. So we would have gotten a Mysterio that literally named Spider-Man.
I love it.
Yeah. The only one thing I wish they had done, I wish they had introduced a black costume in this movie as just a background thing, science, like not even make it menacing until the sequel, so to speak, because that was one of the big flaws with 3 was how much they went from the black costume was cool to was evil, like in 10 minutes flat or whatever. You know,
that's a fair take, because with the damaged costume from the subway scene, he could have a black costume that hadn't been that he hadn't colored red and blue yet. Like, I think that we could have set that up, like he had to dye them or something, and so he had to rush and use the black one before it was ready, and it's in the finals. That wouldn't have been bad. That wouldn't have been a bad idea. I could have lived with that as long as it would have made sense within the right order of things.
Yeah.
So, Ironcaster, we were talking before the show about the puppeteering and everything. This sequence today, I had to watch it again and again. I just thinking about all the puppets, thinking about the master. This is a master class in pulling all this off. I just couldn't believe it.
And again, the contrast between a modern tech look and all the sort of classic architecture, like such a sort of like if you ever read the novel Frankenstein, the original one, obviously. Yeah. And in the better versions of it, how there's a contrast with all the super science he was doing, and he was doing these drafty, moldy castles, and I love that sort of. Would it be right to call it Gothic contrast between super science and super sort of like romance Gothic type architecture?
Okay.
Oh.
Can we say enough good things about Alfred Molina's portrayal and these sequences and stuff like that? It's just so good.
I'm going through some of these. Screenshots of this, and my God, these look so good. Just paused.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with all the stuff that they were doing, and they were trying to minimize using green screen, and the fact that they gave all the little puppeteers, all the little tentacles had nicknames and stuff like that. I don't know. I found it charming and just the right kind of filmmaking that I want, and I just can't have anymore. And we go full circle with well, Loki, you talk about it every single week. You're on your show. We end up talking about it here nearly every week, and it's like I just want good stuff, and it comes from people who care. And I watch a show, I watch a movie like this, and then I'm more angry at the aforementioned MCU movies and Matt, what you're talking about that suck so bad, because I'm like, but look at this. It was in 2004. You people suck.
If you think
about
about
else
it,
to get in
Pops,
James Franco.
You've got okay. So you've got these people all coming together, and everything has to go right. And you've got a team of people that are all working together, including Raimi, including the actors. The team's all there. They're all working in it. All has to go right. Now, it doesn't have to, none of that. We could have one person there. Okay, we're going to have you, and we're going to have you standing on a green screen. Don't worry about any of this other shit. We'll fill it in post. And then you wonder why they have to go back 2, 3, 4 times and do reshoots, because it's not coming out the way they wanted it. And where they spent a week doing this scene and getting different takes and getting different angles and getting different setups, and then they were like, okay, this is the best one, we're going to go with this. So they spent a week doing that instead of months doing reshoots, because they said, screw it, we'll fix anything wrong in post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Okay, we can. All right, so I don't want to derail Phil. Phil has 2 comments here about Spider-Man 3 studio influence, what could have been in Spider-Man 4. Yeah, you're down the rabbit hole, Phil. We're not going to go to the Spider-Man 3 rabbit hole and studio interference, and we've got to have Venom and all the nonsense. But whatever you've heard, it's probably worse, and the more you dive into it, the worse it'll get. So, yeah.
Well, my understanding was there was studio interference even with this film, but the Raimi won most of the fights.
Yeah. I love that shot. I could not believe how good this looks. I just was.
Did this? Yeah. Okay, so my favorite, my favorite superhero film, and one of the greatest films of all time, Superman the movie. This shot reminds me of the Kryptonian effect when they're in the Phantom Zone.
Phantom Zone. Hmm.
Yep, I saw it and I was like, they must have been inspired to reproduce that type of effect when they did this, you know. And I will add that this is a great way to show someone being killed after showing someone being killed.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah, I know, and I hate to jump ahead in the movie a little bit, Ironcaster. If we just kind of jump way ahead, because I want to be able to talk about the legacy of this film and kind of how it ranks a little bit. Because my biggest issue with this film has been, always will be, I can't stand the subway sequence and that he loses his mask and everybody sees him and they're like, oh, we won't tell, we're okay. I get it. It fits. I don't throw the film maybe out with the bathwater, but at the same time, that's probably my biggest hang up. That notwithstanding, I've enjoyed rewatching this movie so much the last couple times, and his performance is just, it's just remarkable. Just everything about this, the fatherly dynamic, the twist with Harry finding out that he's really, Peter Spidey. This movie is just fantastic. So. Oh, the bank sequence. Oh, man. There's so much in here to talk about. My gosh, we're not going to be able to give this movie justice. There's so much. This was so good. Yeah.
So you can get that on Blu-ray. So it's not just the DVD, because I've got the Raimi collection, and that's one of the things in the Blu-ray for the Raimi collection is Spider-Man 2.
And just to add in, I was going to say, so I rewatched this again when you told me last night. Pop's like, okay, I got to rewatch the film now. And I'm glad they did so many practical effects in this movie, because the special effects, and we saw this, I think, with the Andrew Garfield ones that were next, like 6 years later or whatever. Like the level of CGI had improved so much between these 3 films and those 2 films that they could CGI Spider-Man to look okay in those films, where the CGI Spider-Man here looked kind of, you could tell there was special effects, if you know what I mean, as opposed to when they did practical effects and stunt work. Like there was a dramatic improvement in the level of special effects needed. But I don't think this was a very big budget movie. Was it like 150 million or something? And to do like special effects, you would need to actually do it all. Spider-Man that way would have probably been like a $300 or $400 million budget. To rent all the supercomputers.
There's the money shot.
Spider-Man no more.
I couldn't handle it. So look, I went along with this. I've enjoyed the rewatch. I don't care for the manufactured emotional, like psychosomatic theory, which I get. I agree. They did the best they could. They did the best they could with what they created.
I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. I hated it. That's the biggest.
I just wish it had been more authentic. Yeah.
I agree with you.
He should have quit for some completely other reason. Like, I'm not worthy to be Spider-Man. Instead of the whole losing the power thing.
He could have saved the kid. He could have saved the kid. And like, there's a dude on the 4th floor he didn't know was there, and the dude died. Spider-Man got blamed, and he actually took that one to heart for some reason. Like that would, or he gets on the ground floor with the kid. He looks back, he hears the voice, and before he can get to the building explodes or something, and he loses somebody.
The camel's back.
Yeah, just something like that. But within the universe that they created in the power sets, he has organic web and all this stuff. It's fine and it works. So
the thing that kind of stands out to me in kind of going back over this movie is just how much of this movie is about loss. Just so much of it is tied to loss as an overall theme. We have Doc Ock, whose entire life is upturned. He loses his wife, and these extra arms are grafted to his body, so he's kind of lost that extra freedom. This is now part of him. He's now just kind of scarred by this, has to get all these extra surgeries there. He's losing his own control to them. Peter's losing his own confidence and his powers in this. Aunt May's losing the house.
Lost Ben in the first movie.
Yeah, still grieving. Yeah, Harry's still grieving the loss of his dad, losing control. He's losing his business. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Raimi, I think this goes back to what Matt was saying earlier. Like Raimi's technique, style, and skill really, really manifested well in his first 2 Spidey movies. And I know, Phil, you want to talk about the other ones. We're not talking about it.
And
yeah.
So here's another thing. Anyone who grew up in New York and New Jersey and who's my age or older, those shingles know what those shingles are. I remember installing them when I was a kid at my uncle's. You know, so that's the look of this area from the olden times before it all got renovated into like modern stuff. You know.
Yeah, well, remember when they shot on location in New York, New Jersey, and not in
Yeah.
Vancouver?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they shot every movie in Vancouver. It's like, yeah.
Like
Oh,
I could
Georgia?
imagine this
Yeah.
neighborhood being one I either grew up in or worked in, you know,
Yeah.
when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
Pops Dempsey has a comment there. The last one I see. You got Dempsey in comic books. You have to sort of accept there's a lot of coincidences constantly. Like they explain it with sort of mystical beings and all that sort of stuff that we don't want to get into. But there's a lot of coincidences in comic books that would not happen in real life. You know, so that's a trope of comics, I guess you would say.
Yeah, there's a suspension of disbelief that you kind of have to go. Batman knows when to show up at the last minute. Superman, there is a certain element of the contrivances that do kind of work itself out that way. In movies, I will say that actually a contrivance issue is not usually as distracting as it is in sort of like the newer movies, the newer Marvel movies in particular. In the DC ones as well, that they don't handle that contrivance concept very well. They just do things and like they didn't set them up at all. Like there's just stuff's just so random, and you're like, well, it just because, and you're like, okay, wait, it doesn't work in the universe that you made, so you got to come up with your own rules. So yeah, we're on the subway scene. Weird faces aside, the loss of the mask is my bigger issue, not so much the faces. It's this,
real subtle imagery.
I get the messianic stuff. I get it. That's not my problem.
Well, no, you're not. You got to follow. Like he's in a messianic position right now, but then he gets lowered down among them, and they realize he's not a messiah. He's just a kid. You know what I mean? There's a whole progression there. That again, I agree with you about the mask to an extent. I don't want to argue about that, but I like the imagery of he starts as this above them messianic figure, like you're saying, but then when they lower him down, he's about among them, and they're like, well, he's just a kid, like the same, you know, right. like he's not someone. He's one of them. He's one of the people of New York, type of thing, you know.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I love the fact that they reframe heroism in this movie differently than they do in other movies, where the superheroes are specials, the godlike thing. Because even in the Marvel stuff, they kind of mishandle some of their heroes as being more like DC, where they actually are gods. And I think Spider-Man was so well handled by Raimi. You know, the neighborhood Spider-Man. He really, really got that concept. So,
yeah. And I mean, this does get sort of at what Stan Lee's point always had been, is that, you know, Spider-Man could be anyone.
Yeah.
And I also want to add the train save here is my second favorite superhero save in all the comics. The only one I like more than it is Superman saving Lois and catching a helicopter in Superman the movie.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
This is immediately, of course, followed by one of my favorite little bits in the movie. Doc Ock shows up, and the New Yorkers are all like, "Hey, you gonna get to him? You gotta get through all of us." All right.
He just goes, "Okay, they're out of the way." Yeah. So I think that my favorite Ock scene, which we skipped, but I just want to throw it out there too. The initial surgery scene where he murders all of the medical professionals that are in the room was like, it was rated R in your head, even though it wasn't happening on screen. It was like the Jaws effect. It was Jaws. Like it was so bad in your head what was happening. I don't know about you guys. I love that sequence.
Yeah. Well, it's more of that like showing deaths without showing deaths. So we talked about, you know.
Yeah.
And also, I guess it should be complimented in the comics. Doc Ock's arms could extend hundreds of meters, and they never explain it. They just show it. And I like how they just show it in this as well. Like the arms just keep extending. It's like they used after some of the battles in the comics, which are most iconic, where Spider-Man's actually inside the arms, weaving inside them as they all try to twist around him. You get some of those shots in here. They got the arms really, really, really well, you know.
Yeah. I think the only thing that they add, I don't know. There's probably more than that, but the one I noticed that the biggest thing they add is the knife. There's the octopus arm that has the knife, and that was kind of added for the movie. I'm sure by now
input. It's an input, so it's a data input. So it's like RoboCop's fist blade that is also doubles it as a data input.
Okay.
Oh. I had to go do a little bit of digging here to find this, but yeah, this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, this sequence. Oh man, is this good sequence? This is one of those sequences too that you guys will have to always keep me honest too when I talk about my favorite superhero sequences, because this is one I will forget to mention, and it is so superbly done to give you that rated R villain murder effect without having to be a rated R film. And it's so much worse by being PG-13 because it's in your head. So it's going to be worse based on whoever you are in your head, or your worst fears coming to life and how it manifests off screen and things like that. It's just that is totally the way to do something.
So you also see the architecture again. You have the contrast with the high tech and the older architecture. Like, you know, if you look at it, and the hospital, long story short, that when I first started working for the corporation I work for now, the building I was in was 100-year-old classical architecture building that they had buried the actual classical architecture under like plaster and ruined the look of. So seeing that Raimi depict that hospital room with the classical architecture stuff and still showing the modern OR tech in it kind of makes me happy, you know?
Wicked Fanboy, we will get to your comment because that's kind of like where I want to wrap our final thoughts around, is kind of like how it kind of fits in the grand scheme of things. So hang with us if you can, brother. But yeah, we get to that final third act after the big hairy shock, which is great because it kind of lends itself to everything we've already talked about with, you know, the grieving and reality and shocks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Spider-Man's roomy. I have nothing except my billions of dollars, my penthouse, and my butler.
I know.
And my corporation.
But that's Harry, though. This was done well. This was good Harry. I didn't dislike this
Good
part.
Harry.
In the comics, there was a bit
like
of it of there was always a bit of insanity in the Osborn line. They were always a bit like serial killery type of sociopaths, you know. So I don't want to say he was born bad, but you know.
Yep. Entitlement and stuff gone wrong. So all right, yeah, let's wrap to some final thoughts. We have enough time to
there we go.
Jeez. And I again, they give Ock sort of kind of some redemption, like he's going to go down with his creation sort of stuff, like he's going to, and I think that there's just something that's been lost with these characters when they conceive these movies now. They just don't have any love and appreciation. Look, you were talking about earlier, it's like of the stuff they're working with. It's just to them, it's just a faceless IP. It's just a hollow thing to make money. It's a cash grab. It's whatever. And you feel like Raimi and the people around this, and obviously Alfred Molina, talk about being a comic book fan. They really, really care about this stuff, and it just comes through for me.
Well, it's not even today. I mean, you know, we were talking about all the movies. Could you replace, you know, all the other movies with just Spider-Man 3? It's even now to the point where it doesn't really matter. Just get this out, and we're moving on to the next movie. So your performance isn't that important. Your performance isn't dire. If something ends up happening, we'll reshoot 6, 7, 8 months down the line. Don't worry about it. If we got to do that again, we'll do it again, because we've got all this other stuff to worry about. It's not about making a movie anymore. It's about doing this giant thing that has lost all the heart that was in those original movies. In this movie, hell, the heart that Raimi and them put into this. Mary Jane standing there in the dress. The way they decided, you know what, we're going to use an old lamp. We're going to use an old lamp. We're going to get it from the thrift store. We're going to get this, or we're going to get that. Find me an old lamp and bring it to me. And just the thought of how I want this scene. They don't even do that anymore. They don't even do like they don't even do mock-ups, drawings. They do nothing. This is the way I want it to look. Okay, cinematographer, let's make it look exactly like this. No, they don't even do that, because they don't even do the drawings anymore. They just throw their shit up on a whiteboard and go, give us, this is what we want, give it to us. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then we get the best line. You know, they work it out. Go get him, Tiger. It's just the best. It's just the best. So,
and I would be remiss not to show this panel because,
yeah, yeah, that's a good one. That's an underused. That's an underused still. That should be a meme. There should be that we probably should screenshot that and then just take everybody else out and just have JJ looking at and just put stuff in the background. That's a perfect still for that kind
And
of.
I could drop
He's
in here.
waiting for those pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I could drop in here. The actor who played John Jameson, his name is David Giles or something like that. He's a really good actor, and you know how they say there's stuff that's like guilty pleasure TV or whatever, guilty pleasure movies. Go watch the first 3 seasons of the originals. He played Elijah Mickelson. It's a spinoff from the Vampire Diaries, which are based on books or whatever. And well, the Vampire Diaries is a teen soap opera, but like him and the dude who plays his brother Klaus, they're like contrasting sociopaths. And for the first 3 seasons, they just chew screen time in the originals, like just you know. And he's such a good character actor, this David Giles guy, you know.
All right. Operating table scene, Evil Dead vibe for sure. And then we can come back to Wicked Fanboy, which is one thing I wanted to ask, right? So yeah. Spider-Man 2, second history superhero movies. Talking about Superman 78 there. So for the longest time, those were pretty much the 2 films that everybody had at the top of their list, kind of, you know, depending on where you grew up, how old you were. If you were closer to Ironcaster's age, you might have Spider-Man 2 ahead of Superman 78, or you might even have Batman 89 in the mix if you happen to be at the time when that was your kind of like your big entry gateway, that kind of thing. But now that we've got 20 years of so many superhero movies, I thought it'd be kind of fun to ask, like, where does the legacy of Spider-Man 2 kind of land now? Has it kind of come off of its top 5 slots? Is it down in the top 10? Is it, you know, is it just still better than ever? I mean, what do you guys think? Because that's why I wanted to leave. So let you guys have at it.
Honestly, I had forgotten. I hate to say it, but in a way, I had kind of forgotten about this movie. I had forgotten how great this movie was. Like, it's like I remember enjoying it, but I just had.
The balloon is back. The balloon is gone.
Yeah.
The balloon interrupted Ironcaster's steak. The movie's good, but the balloon.
Yes, but the balloon. No, but it's just it's a movie I have in a way completely forgotten about, like how much I enjoyed this film.
The balloon just makes me realize how much I want to have balloons delivered to Loki on a regular basis now. Sorry, guys. I'm just okay. But Ironcaster. You forgot how great this movie was. Go. Oh.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as great as we hold this up, in a way, there's one other second movie that's in a way just as good, if not better. I dare say, The Dark Knight is still out there.
I disagree, but okay.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense
in terms of sort of that held up in terms of like superhero films go. Like, no, it's not comic accurate in any way, but it's one that everyone went to like crazy. And I think that it's not as good as this one, though.
You know what? I would say this is a great Spider-Man movie. This is not a great superhero movie. You can crack that. You can call me crazy. Like,
your mic's a little low. I don't know if you know that. Your mic's a little
me?
low. Yeah,
really?
Say that again.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a good superhero movie. I think it's a good Spider-Man movie. It's probably the best Spider-Man movie we've gotten. It's very accurate. The characters are very accurate. Raimi nailed the characters. I don't think it's that good of a superhero movie. Call me crazy. Call me insane. Be like, Loki, how dare you? There's this thing they did with Peter, and him losing everything. And him being like, oh, I'm just going to be normal. Some of it comes off wrong. You can say that's Tobey's fault. You can say that's Raimi's fault. You can blame whoever you want to blame. I don't think it matters. It still comes off as, yeah, he wanted to get away from it, but he also had responsibility, and that all comes down to the uncle. He wouldn't just walk away. But not because he just loses his powers. Oh, I can be normal. I'm just going to go be normal. Everybody can work out their own shit. I don't know. There's things about this movie that I still don't like today. And that I haven't given up on. I'm like a damn dog with a bone when it comes to this movie. I just don't, I won't let it go. And that's just, argue with me all you want to, but
No, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to make you parse it out a little bit more. So how does that differ from Clark wanting to be normal so he can bang Lois?
you never get that. You get him wanting to be normal because he's a kid, and that's only in Man of Steel. You get some Man of Steel stuff.
No, Superman
in
2. Superman 2, he's got to be normal so he can bang Lois. He's got to give it all up.
I don't like that either.
Okay. I'm making sure. I'm
Honestly,
just
I don't
testing
like
the
that
water.
either.
No,
I think that was the biggest dumb decision. That was dumb. When he gets his ass kicked by a trucker guy in 2, I'm totally, you know what? You deserve it. This is what you deserve. You screwed up. You could have spun him around on the chair and thrown him across the room, and instead you're standing here powerless because of a skirt. Dumb Superman. Again, Superman did it too. Yes, Superman 2 did it. Big mistake too. I don't like that either. Because you're giving up. You have a responsibility. You were the one with superpowers. You have a responsibility to do the best that you can. In Man of Steel, they kind of deal with that when he's a kid and he wants to kill that other kid. And he's like, why can't I just be normal so I can go over there and punch him? And, his dad's like, oh, well, you weren't born normal. Blah, 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 blah. But
You don't get to be that.
I just want to, no. You have been given a gift. That's what Ben told him. That's what
Sorry,
Ben
I know, Matt. I got you on the
told him.
hook. I follow. Okay, so then I assume then you feel the same about Dark Knight. The problem with him just wanting to I'm going to give it all up. I want it, whatever, and then it gets worse than 3 because I'm doing it for a girl, right? It's like the same thing. Okay, I'm with you too. Okay, I'm going to make sure we're all on the same page with the.
I can't stand Nolan's third movie. Nolan's third movie's trash. People can say whatever the hell they want to. That movie's trash. Yes, Dark Knight is absolutely badass. Heath Ledger, blah 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 blah. But that's third movie is trash. Him giving up trash. Oh, but he did it because of blah blah blah. No. He has a responsibility. It's that promise he made to his parents. That's why Mask of the Phantasm's such a goddamn good movie. Pardon my language in the GD, but it is. That is why, because he goes to his parents and he's like, I want to just quit, but I love you and I promised you, but things are different now. And he's so conflicted. And then he puts on the mask and he's Batman. And it's like, you're never going to get me not to be Batman now.
Yep, I agree. All right, Matt, where are you on Spidey 2?
So I don't want to go crazy debating between comic book movies or superhero movies, which is technically a difference or whatever. I'm just going to say Superman 1 is the peak of the pyramid, as it were, right? Superman the movie. Then there's a sort of second level of them, which Spider-Man 2 to me is in, Captain America 2, Civil War, the Flash Gordon film from the 80s, that sort of a couple others you can quibble about, and yes, it has its flaws. You can pick apart, you know what I mean? Like LOKI says, you can pick apart element. I could pick apart, like, I agree with you, Pops, the whole psychological crap, that was stupid to me, in that, and, and then even though it's a great movie, it has one of the stupidest, like, lines, like, I can think of it a couple, where at the end where he goes, it's growing on its own. Let's dump it into the river. Let's dump it into the biggest source of mess around so it'll keep growing on its own, That was, the solution at the end was a little like illogical. But that being said, I don't need to pick this movie apart because I enjoy it. I want to watch it again, and that's a big cry. So many of these superhero films, especially in the last 25 years or so, by the way, there are superhero films going back into the 30s. So they've been around a long time, right? But some of these they just suffer from like the reason I don't like The Dark Knight as much as other people do is it suffers from bloat. The whole plot with Two-Face, Harvey Dent and all that could have just been eliminated and the movie been better. But all these people want to plant the sequels by putting a major subplot in their films now for a lot of movies, not just superhero films. So they bloat these movies up to be 2.5 hour, 2 hour things when the actual story in the movie is like an hour and 25 minutes. So that to me is, and this film has less of that than a lot of other films.
Yeah, I think you articulated all that well. Chat, let's see. JJJ was a great casting. We all agree. I think we all agree. Yep. We have some serious J.K. Simmons love around here. So don't do storyboards. Yeah, fact check true. Most things are not storyboarded anymore. And then if they are, it is certain creators will storyboard. but not a lot of stuff. Just computer rendering ahead of time. They do these full CGI computer generated like almost like a PowerPoint now. They just AI them. They fill in gaps with AI. It's really sad, Pat. Part of our problem. So, look, are you muted?
Sorry, I was saying Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. They don't whiteboard anymore. They don't do any, or they don't
They don't do storyboard. They only
anymore.
whiteboard.
They
Yeah.
whiteboard. That's all they do is whiteboard. So they'll throw some whole bunch of shit up on whiteboard and then work it out. Why? Because no one ever won an award for storyboard.
It's worse than that. Kevin Feige's method of filming is the opposite of storyboarding. It's like literally make everything, like film extra stuff, film 15 different versions of scenes, and then just edit it together the way you want it at the end. Like pay no attention to the actual script or plot when you're making a film anymore. Just like, oh, let's make 17 different versions of that scene and 14 of that one and 16 of that one, and we'll make a movie at the end. You know, that's his approach to this stuff.
It's just we're at a point now where everything is so backwards because we're just so. My big argument is we do everything out of order now. So it used to be you'd be hired to write a script, then you would go write the script, pitch the script, and then when it got picked up, that's when it would make announcements. You would have an announcement, oh, I'm going to pitch a script. Like Kevin Smith wrote a Superman script. It was never greenlit. It was, oh, he's going to be hired to write this script. We'll see if it actually gets picked up. Now we just do it all out of order, and it's all about, box checking and things like that. But we got to keep getting through some of the chat.
Wasn't he going to direct a Batman movie? Kevin Smith, wasn't he going to direct a Batman?
I don't know that he was attached to Batman. I know Warner wanted him on stuff. Warner was ready to use him for anything. So the Superman script probably would have worked if he didn't have clout in the nerd community, because the only way Kevin Smith got out of all that was, I'm not doing a giant spider for a Superman movie. Superman would cut through a stupid robot spider in 2 seconds. This is dumb. We're not doing this. He wrote this ridiculously robust Death of Superman story that the studio couldn't even understand. I don't remember Batman per se. Matt, do you remember, was Kevin Smith attached to Batman? I don't think so.
I don't think he was attached in a major way. I think he's been involved because he's someone who always asks for script work on.
Yeah. And Warner's just Warner can't get out of its own way. Look, I'm having a hard time placing Catwoman in the grand scheme of the worst superhero movies of all time because she's the only black character in the movie. So just so we're clear, they cast Halle Berry as Catwoman.
Marvel, though?
Huh?
Is it worse than Captain Marvel?
It's just as dumb. It's just the entire premise of the black Catwoman is in a film of white people. I just can't.
Let's put it this way, Pops. Which would you rather hear I recommend for a talk hard?
Well, we're not doing either one, so we're just going to keep moving. So, by the way, it's timely that Pat would put your link up for those of you who have not subscribed to Ironcaster, because he can go over and he can do a whole rewatch of Catwoman and Captain Marvel. Because Loki and I guarantee, Matt, I doubt that you would want to rewatch these movies either. So that's Ironcaster. So, in the last 20 years, Spider-Man 2 stands out at 1 for him. Cool. Well, that's awesome, man.
Well, I will watch the extended edition.
Oh, we can't go there, Dempsey. That's another freaking long conversation.
Speaking of Catwoman, do you remember when they claimed she was the first black Catwoman?
Yeah, they just do stuff. They just do stuff. I don't know what to say. Still top 5. Good Soul Assassin. That's awesome. Blank Man.
Because no one remembers Eartha Kitt.
Wow, I remember Eartha Kitt.
I do too. Lee Merriweather. It's Moji. It's Catwoman in our lives. So yeah, John Wick is like a superhero. Is Neo a superhero? Yeah, I know, Dempsey. We're down the rabbit hole. So. Ironcaster was going to make a pitch for a Highlander 2. Yeah, there's some. Batman good. Batman was an Avon sales lady in the world's greatest.
Hi, I'm Batman. Have you seen my name tag? It says Batman. I'm Batman. Hello, it's Penguin home. Can you answer the door? It's me, Batman.
Yeah, that was in the Donner Cut, Dempsey, the shrink wrap thing. So the Donner Cut has that. So Superman should have thrown the big ass fruit roll up. Yeah. Dark Knight Rises is trash, not Batman. Not what we've done. Yeah, Kevin Conroy, hashtag the best. Yes. So
yes.
And Zach's giving you some love. Pat's throwing out the emojis. That's it. Keep those emojis going. That's right. There you go. Thank you. Nerporial's here. Awesome. Thank you, man. You'll be here next week, I believe. Star Trek is next week. We'll be talking about the Genesis trilogy. Is it the most underrated of trilogies? I don't think most people realize it is a trilogy. So yeah,
Does anyone have the 4K version?
I don't have the 4K on the trilogy. I only have Wrath of Khan.
I think I have at least some of them in 4K.
I've got that like 10 disc like movie box set.
Are we watching director's cuts or are we watching the original?
I don't care. We can kind of bounce around with all of it in some ways. I don't think most people don't even treat it as a trilogy. I think it's just a point to put a pin in it for someone who finds our video 5 years from now. Like, what trilogy? What Genesis trilogy? Anyway. Soul Assassin, he is obsessed with inserting Green Lantern and Green Arrow in things, and the studios are like, what are you doing? So it always created issues, but I don't think it was a standalone Green Lantern film, because the only one that ever got greenlit was called Green Lantern Corps, and he was not attached in any way at the time. So, Spider Later in the Wild. Yes, that's correct. The same producer. That's exactly where that.
Yep.
Is it Silver or Grazer? I know one of the two of them is the one behind the stupid spider.
Kevin Smith does a great sort of comedy speech where he talks about like that Superman film and all that. And if you could, it's a 30-minute. He also talks about he did a documentary for Prince that never. Prince.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-minute speech he does, which is really funny. If you ever go find it, it's really good.
Yeah. There you go. Some more Ironcaster stuff. Definitely check that out. Catwoman is worse than Captain Marvel. I don't know. I'm not watching either one, Dempsey, because I'd have to kind of like figure out how to size something together.
We're asking the hard questions.
At least Halle Berry is attractive, so I'll take Catwoman over Captain Marvel.
She has pretty feet too.
Well, the other nice thing is, at least with
Thank you,
Halle
Quentin
Berry,
Tarantino.
she was able to take it in stride. Like she showed up at the Razzies to accept her award.
Yeah.
Raindrops keep falling on Loki's head. There you go.
Better cover it.
Princess Leia Rose in the house. We could spend a few hours deciding superhero genre versus. Yeah, maybe. And Kevin Smith does nothing great. He's a turncoat sellout poser. Yeah, well,
Kevin.
Anyway, all right. Well, no, I think we wanted to really kind of first, I think, highlight, and I think Ironcaster, you said it, even if you didn't mean to. I forgot how great this movie was. I think that's part of the reason I threw this on the board. 20 years, it's an anniversary year. It is going to get a theater run. I just saw that today as well. So they're going to put it in theaters briefly. Did you guys see that?
No.
What are you talking about?
Spider-Man 2 returns to theaters. Let's see.
Yeah, they've been doing that with a bunch of films on their anniversaries this year.
Yeah.
They're doing
need
it
box
for
office.
Alien again. They're doing it for Alien again this year.
Yeah, they're doing a little run. And you know what? This is the thing. I read a little quote. I talked about Fathom Events and this thing that they did where they showcased Johnny Depp's film. And they have a little quote talking about how they realize that they're evolving their business. Their business used to just be a certain type of niche. Now it's more like we're like a specialty distributor. And I think more and more companies are going to figure that out. Like, listen, we could just drop this movie in theaters for a few weeks, and make. They just dropped Shrek or something, and one of the Shrek movies was in theaters, and it made like $1 million. And like it isn't cost them anything other than just like send the prints out. They already have the prints. They're in some storage room somewhere. Send them back out.
Better than the Pixar movies.
It's all digital.
Well, they got to
so
rescan it. That's the big issue.
They don't even send out prints anymore, Pops. It's all digital now.
Yeah.
So they just send the theater the digital run of it, and the theater has it for however long. We're gonna go see the 25th anniversary of The Mummy this Thursday. Yep. So, yeah,
it's basically like a theater streaming service. They just beam it straight from the sources.
There you go.
Melvin is here. Hey, Melvin, how you doing, man? I wouldn't call Counts with a poser. He ain't pretty enough. He's sell out though. Yeah. Shrek 2 was 20th anniversary. Thank you, Phil. Yeah, it made money. It did well. Lester, holy cow, brother. Hopefully you're doing well, recovering well. T's and P's for you, my friend. Keep in touch. Let me know. Send me an email. Let me know how you're doing, man. Just I'll be praying for you, man. Glad you're home. Hopefully you're doing well. And if you're not listening from home, let me know that as well. So yeah, guys, listen, it's been great. We're less than 10 minutes. We got to do a little bit. Ironcaster, what is going on? Go ahead.
So coming up on Friday, I have one show I want to go and promote, and that's over on Nick Weiser's channel. We'll be having on the Saska sisters to talk about Yara.
Oh man, congratulations. That'd be kind of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Awesome. You doing t-shirt tonight?
Yep, we'll be doing our little midweek in geek where I think we're talking about some a new like zombicide RPG he was really excited about. And there's all kinds of other little like fires burning out in the general geekiverse, but that we'll try to fit him in. We'll try to put him out.
Awesome. Scott Westbrook, thank you again, my friend. A $5 super sticker, brother. We appreciate you, your membership, your support, and yeah, man, you're awesome, man. I can't thank you enough for all your help doing this, man. It's great. The smoking remains of the guy who could have and should have saved the thing he destroyed. And we're definitely talking about Kevin Smith, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris, thank you for that. Yeah, Chris, thank you for all you do, and Dempsey, all these different members that are out there. But Scott, it's just so generous, man. I appreciate it. So, Loki, tomorrow is Wednesday, which means we have some YouTube talk. How are things shaping up for you, my friend, this week?
Doing pretty good. Mexican Iron Man came back this morning, and we did Taco Tuesday, which was really good. A really good Taco Tuesday.
Had a real Mexican for Taco Tuesday?
Had a real Mexican on with, real Mexican.
That's awesome. We're glad you're doing all right. Hanging in there. T's and P's for Loki as well, man. We got to keep lifting up our brother so he can be running at full skull. Got to run at full skull.
Not yet, but I'm working on it. Should be interesting tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. That's that link for the show later with Ironcaster. Chris has got everybody under control. Thank you for that. Matt, my friend, what's going on with you, man? You get the Friday show?
I will be back definitely this Friday. Real world stuff. Cancel my last two.
Totally understand.
Yeah. Don't ever let people do IT work on a Friday. Is the only advice I can give on that. So I have my Shogun episode 8 review just dropped actually literally at 5:00 as we were starting to record this. Then I'll be on Jacob Ironside's channel at 8:00 Eastern Standard. We'll be talking about the historical fiction movie Zulu with Michael Caine, among other people. We'll be on Roman's show on Thursday talking about our favorite metal bands from this century. I'm reviewing Shogun on an ongoing basis, 2 episodes of that to finish, and a TV show called Sharp from the 192000, which is a historical fiction show based on Bernard Cornwell's novels. It's better than almost any modern TV show, So awesome. I may do the 1980s Ivanhoe. I've been inspired by another friend of mine who's watching it and really getting back into it. I haven't seen that in years. So,
awesome. That's tons of good stuff. Next week will be our little Star Trek talk. Haven't talked anything with Star Trek. It's an excuse for me to also watch Wrath of Khan again, because I need to watch it at least 3 times a year now, once a quarter. Any excuse. Yes, put Khan back into my life. It always makes me exceedingly happy, even if I have to watch the other 2 movies. I don't hate them, but I don't share the Trek love like everyone else. So it'll be kind of interesting to be able to bounce around with that with Loki and Nerdporio that have are major Trekkies. So it'll be fun to do that.
It'll be a chance to watch Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon.
Sure.
Give me Genesis!
Genesis! Give me Genesis!
And then
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Back where, Doc? Back to the bird of prey.
Is there a robot chicken that's like an amalgam of these loyal characters? Because there should be.
It should be.
The Land of Lloyd should be like another parody comic book that we could write.
Is he dead now?
No,
he was just in a Star Wars episode. It was unbearably bad. It was horrible.
I was a Klingon today.
And then a week after that, May 7th, we have confirmation. Adega Outlaw will be joining us for the Karate Kid conversation you guys will be having on May 7th. That'll be awesome. So we still have an open seat. We might take somebody else in. We'll see. I'll talk to Loki and Ironcaster to let you guys know. I'll be on vacation. That's my anniversary week that week. It'll be 25 years with the Mrs. Pops, so I'll be off that week.
Pre-congrats.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And then the 14th of May, we have confirmation. We're gonna lock in Temple of Doom. That's right, Indiana Jones Temple of Doom talk with Joker Voice. Joker Voice will be in the house for that. So it'll be great to have him. Kalima. Yes, we got some PG-13 talk too, because it and Red Dawn are sometimes confused about the whole PG-13 legacy, because that was the year everything changed. So
we just want to watch KK dance.
Oh well.
No, I want to see a puppet rip a heart out of someone's chest and go, Kalima, fleshy.
I love the spiders and the bugs and the lizards and the monkey brains and just It was like shocking when I was a kid, teenager.
What
Even
was it,
teenager, like,
Monkey
oh,
Brain?
You know, Loki, you say you want that, but knowing our luck, it'll be El Perro.
Yeah, I'll back El Perro. If El Perro rips the heart out of some fleshy, I'm all for it. I want to see it. He will have my undying respect if just cut him off somebody. Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Back to the Future 4 is somewhat confirmed. I don't know. I'm with Loki on the rumor stuff that's dropped, but I don't know that we have anything actually going to happen yet. We'll see.
Kalima, Mexican Iron Man.
Yeah,
If you
Soul
wanna-
Assassin, this was fun. Yeah.
If you want a better sequel to Back to the Future movies, watch the first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty. That's all I gotta say.
But no, it's been great. Matt, again, thanks for that last minute being able to join us doing this. Appreciate that. And
No
I'm
problem, man.
so thrilled that Loki, you're able to just hang in there and keep getting better, man. It's awesome.
I'm working on it.
But yeah, Ironcaster said it best. Spider-Man 2 is great. I forgot how great it was. And hopefully you guys, if you haven't watched it in a while, will have an excuse to go and sit down and watch it and enjoy some nice Doc Ock versus Spider-Man, where it all just totally rock and roll, man. Some great stuff in here. And yeah, check out all those links we dropped for everybody. Make sure you get out there, get some good stuff in your diet of content. Make sure, keep your head up right. Be blessed. Until next time, talk hard. Let's go out.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill.